Welcome to the 6th Bronco Appathon. You'll be given 5 minutes. Karen here will hold up with 1 minute to go. And then at the end of that 5 minutes, there'll be an opportunity for the judges to ask 1 or 2 questions. Any questions before we start? With that, we're going to go ahead and just start with our first team, which is RPG. So take it away.
Hello, we're Team RPG. I'm Paul Meyer.
Colby Morgan.
Michaela Jones.
Daniel Pletcher.
When we started making our map, or our app, when we started with our app, we wanted to think about what is the essence of Boise, what is Boise, and what makes Boise Boise. And while we're up here in the ILC, there's windows everywhere. It's a tall enough building, and you get a nice view of the city. You can see the skyline, and it's just beautiful. And we had a lot of great times just watching the sunrise and set, and you could see the sun coloring the clouds and the buildings in the background, and it was a really cool experience. And we thought that we could bring that to our app. And so we started thinking about how people use maps to look around and figure out where you're going. And with our app, we wanted to take that to a more experiential level. So instead of typing in an address and getting to a place that is geographical numbers, working with GPS, we wanted to have it more, we wanted you to experience where you're going.
Yeah, so we made, we called the Boise Living Map. We wanted to make a living map, so much more, like Paul was saying, much more than just a typical map. And so we worked with this idea of creating an augmented reality experience, and so I'm going to do it here on the computer, so it's a little bit, unfortunately the light's not too kind with augmented reality here, but Michaela's doing it on the app kind of at the same time. So I've got an image target here. Oh. Little umbrella. There we go. So we've got this map. I'll pull it up, but Michaela here, this is 41 blocks of downtown Boise that Michaela hand modeled every building to scale. Some of the iconic buildings she put a little bit more detail in. So we were really excited about this idea of a map, of an augmented reality app that you could actually explore. You could walk around. You can see with Michaela, as she's walking around her image target, she can actually kind of explore the city. And so we've tied some more elements into it as far as, so we thought about having different experiences. So being able to see the day, oh, thank you. Being able to see the city kind of at different times of the day. There we go. So you can experience at nighttime, see the street lights, kind of get that, like, almost the flavor of the city. And so the audio is a little hard to hear. I think you can hear it on Michaela's. But as you actually explore these different parts of Boise, you get kind of a dynamic audio change. And so kind of almost like those soundscapes of cities that you can explore and hear that audio with. With this kind of app, you hear that different audio. So as you get close to the balcony, you kind of hear dance music. If you approach the Quest Arena, you can hear some crowds cheering. Again, I apologize, the lighting's not too kind on this right now. And so we also kind of we're working with tying this to also making this a calendar. So if you wanted to look at a certain day, so it's supposed to be raining this Thursday, so if I put in this Thursday, now it's raining. And that's kind of an idea we were really excited to work with. And so it's a map, but it's also a calendar. And so we thought about tying special events in it, like farmers markets and stuff like that. So you can experience and explore Boise day by day. For a specific day, you're going to be in town. Maybe freshmen are coming to Boise, and they know they're going to have a weekend to explore. They could use a tool like this to kind of explore downtown, see what it's like, and kind of really experience the city. And so kind of with that as well, Let me pull up.
1 minute.
So we actually went around and got some 360 photos as well. And so this is another element of the app that we felt would be really cool to tie into that augmented reality. As you're exploring, you can also look at 360 photos of different parts of the Boise. This music here and the music in the other app was actually composed by Daniel, who made all of our sound effects and our music for the app as well. That was, we stuck the camera off the side of the parking garage. So here's inside the, upside.
There we go.
But yeah, just really excited about creating a map, a living map that kind of captures Boise and kind of gives you that real taste of Boise. So thank you.
Hi, we're Team Horizon. My name is Darby McBride, and this is my partner, Olivia Thomas. We are first-year gaming interactive media mobile majors, and this is our app, Discover Idaho. So we did the programming for this app completely in Adobe Animate, and this app is kind of for fourth graders. For any of you that grew up in Idaho, you may remember in fourth grade that we had Idaho history, which focused on like the history of Idaho as well as geography and geology. And so this app would be for fourth graders to test their knowledge of the geography of Idaho. I think in fourth grade, how I learned geography is I made like a giant Idaho cookie, and we like put little things for each of the geography, but I'm not sure that really like cemented my knowledge of the location. So this would be kind of like a supplement to the class. It's not necessarily like, it doesn't necessarily have a lot of information, but it definitely tests the knowledge of the students. So I want to mention that we did all the art for this, so including the map and the background, that kind of like papery color was all done by us. The only thing that we didn't have, that we didn't do in Animate was we included pictures at the locations because we felt that it kind of didn't represent, like it wouldn't represent the locations to just draw it. We'd have to have pictures. So I'm going to hand it over to Olivia to kind of show you what's going on. I have it on my on this phone, but she's also will be presenting on the screen. So.
Okay, so as Darby said, we have a map of Idaho here, and we currently have 3 different locations that you can visit. So I will go to the first one. And to unlock each location, you have to play this mini game about different wildflowers that are native to Idaho. So you can see that it's asking us to find the syringa here, and so I'm going to drag my little butterfly around. If I go to the wrong flower, you can see that we get some feedback from the bluebird down here, who is sad. But if we go to the right one, he's happy. And now I will get the lupine. Okay, so I unlocked the location, Shoshone Falls. And at this location, we have a little quiz. And at this point, we'd like to ask if there's anybody who might want to volunteer to try and take this quiz about Shoshone Falls.
If not, we can do it. Okay. Yay! Nice to meet you.
Let's have him do it on the computer.
Yeah,
so
sorry.
All right.
All right, and you can see the bluebird's going to give him feedback about whether or not he's right or wrong.
Any help? Did you give us a hint earlier?
Do I get a lifeline?
Too tall. It's too tall.
1 minute.
the flower minigame gets a little harder each time with new flowers. Oops, I went to the wrong one. Lupine. Okay, and then I'm gonna try and get all the questions right on this quiz really quickly. And then you can see that I unlocked one of the state symbols of Idaho. And if I go to our collection on the main screen, you can see that that is filled in because I've collected that symbol. And you can collect a new symbol at each location.
So all of our artwork also, like including our bluebird, which we've called Frank after Frank Church, they're all Idaho symbols. Yeah. So all the flowers that we use are native to Idaho, and then including the monarch. The monarch is the Idaho state butterfly. So yeah, we're done now.
All right. My name is Julian,
I'm Caitlin.
And my name's Jack.
and we're group GSV. And we created an iOS app to allow users to buy and sell their used books that they no longer need. And I guess
So we did a little bit of research, and every year college students spend about $1,200 on textbooks for their classes. As many of you know, when you go to sell those books back, you don't get that full $1,200 back. I found several articles that reference that they get about 10 to 15% of what the original price was back. So between the years 2003 and 2013, textbook prices have gone up 82%, which is almost triple the amount of inflation in the normal market. So we wanted to create an app that would allow students to get rid of that middleman and just sell the books to one another and not have to go through the school, so that they could get more reasonable prices and get more of their money back.
So I'm going to be demoing on the left-hand side here. I'm just mirroring my phone, which we're running an application on. And then on the right-hand side, we've got our Firebase database, which you guys will be able to see updating in real time. So if we go ahead and load up the app, go ahead and create a user. I believe here you can see our team gsv@mail.com. Looks like that it's just lowercase. So if we go ahead and back out to the main menu, now we're going to go ahead and try and sell a book. So this is where we were at last night with the permissions. We thought there was no way we were going to have to pull an all-nighter, and we were so busy working right till the end we forgot to change the permissions request. But it's just going to line up the QR code or the barcode. And then it goes ahead, gets the barcode, and hits the Google Books API and gets back a request, tons of information about the book. Let's see, this is the print. And now it's going to go ahead and prompt the user for where they would like to meet up potentially with other third parties. Let's go ahead and try and meet in the sub. I'm going to go ahead and save that location. And now you can enter the price of what you'd like to get for the book. Like I said, we ran out of time, and something I would have liked to have done here was, I know sites like Chegg and Amazon will buy books back from you, but for this particular book, I think they were offering like $2 and $3 a piece respectively, and then selling them used for about $45. So if you can present the user with that information, and then they can kind of meet somewhere, I don't want to get $2 and someone can buy it for $30, we're both happy. Let's go ahead and sell it for $20. And then we go ahead and get a success. Oops. here it looks like this is our book posting. And so now, we go ahead and log out of the account.
Okay.
Head back. Let's say we're looking to buy a book. We don't have the barcode reader because if you're looking to buy a book, you probably don't have the barcode. So we're going to go ahead and enter in the ISBN. And let's say someone's looking to buy the book we just posted. You can see our posting right here in the sub. And then we have the for sale by phone number and then the price they're asking. And you can zoom out and see other postings of similar books, of the same book by other users.
We are America's favorite app development team. My name is Nikolai Cassio.
My name's Travis Sabolchka.
Andrew Palmer, Daniel Clements.
Yeah, so us three are also first-year students in the Games Interactive Media and Mobile department. Daniel is studying graphic design. He's a senior. Yeah. Anyways, we created a game. It's an endless runner type game. We called it Bronco Appathon. The premise, it's like I said, it's an endless runner. It takes place at a side scroller, so it goes left to right. It's a sci-fi setting, and we ended up making it in Unity. Basically, you run through. We have levels or tiles and obstacles that are spawning. There's a scoring system, so you're just trying to see how far you can make it without dying. And it keeps getting harder to try and shut you down eventually. It continually is just dynamically and randomly generating obstacles, and also kind of use an algorithm to get more intense as you go. At some point you're going to lose, but you're just trying to go as long as you can. And then the sound isn't going to work because that cord they were trying to plug in wouldn't work, but when we pass it around to the judges, you'll be able to hear that we made sounds and stuff like that, but you'll at least be able to see our art, which is cool. Real quick, I will do it on the big screen so that everybody can check it out. So right here we got options. You can make the difficulty go up and down using this slider here on the bottom. I'm ambitious, so I'm going to try the hardest difficulty. There's volume. May as well turn that off. Play game, so you got, oh wow, I died immediately. Alright, so you can roll and jump to get over obstacles. You can slow down or speed up. Okay, there you go. But yeah, it's kind of like a little sci-fi, like Metroid-inspired character, which Travis created. That looks pretty cool. Spam roll to get past all the obstacles. There you go. Got electricity blocks. Oh yeah. Anyways, at the end you get your score. It's just counting basically, you know, kind of how far you're getting through the game, and that will save and stuff. So you have like your high score, and you're trying to break it and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much the premise of the game, and we're pretty happy with what we made, considering I've never really even used Unity before. So it was like a crash course for us, and it was awesome.
All right, so hi, I'm Luke.
I'm Greg.
I'm Brendan.
And I'm Jake.
And we are Team Appetyte. So, by show of hands in here, who hates choosing a place to eat? Yeah, this is an experience that I've lived over and over again. I'm a junior at Boise State. I'm from San Diego, so whether you're out of state and you don't know where you are, you're a freshman fresh on campus, or you're just hanging out with your friends and you've lived here your whole life, but when it comes time to choose a place, either nothing pops in your head or you can't decide. And at some point you're just so hungry, you don't want to do it anymore. You end up eating somewhere where you don't want to go, and life sucks. Well, that's where this app comes into play, Appetyte. We've created an app that instead of searching for through Google or through Yelp, it makes things quick. It just boom, 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 automatically filters results. You swipe left, you don't like it, you swipe right, it'll take you there. So with that, to explain how all that works, I'm going to turn it over to Brendan.
Yeah, definitely. So, I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate. We have an Android app. We're using the Ionic framework, which is great because it lets you make hybrid apps. So this app can be deployed on iOS, Android, and also be web deployed. So here's the app as it is right now. Luke was talking about the swipeability feature. So the first app, or the first restaurant that we see is Brickyard. So, you know what? I don't want Brickyard. Let's see what's next. Oh, Papa Murphy's taking baked pizza. Not in the mood for pizza. Oh, Mai Tai. You know, I'm kind of in the mood for Mai Tai. So if you want, you can just, all you need to do is scroll right, and it'll take you to navigation and point you to the navigation of that place. And simple as that. We also have the ability to just hit the button down here. That also works as well. And this is all done through the Google Places and Google Maps API, which we hooked up with Ionic, and it works really well. We have also a bunch of different features too. You can filter your results, which, Greg, if you want to talk more about that.
So one of the things with this app that we wanted is that we wanted the user to really easily sort through what kind of food that they're in the mood for. And so we just have some predetermined topics that you can toggle on and off. And this is just, so so it's just really quick. And so the logic behind this we have already made. We know it works at tests, although during testing we weren't quite able to get it to work to repopulate the cards. We ran out of time for that, but we're pretty close.
We also have a map tab too, so you can also, if you want to just have the map, you can just go ahead, and these are all pin locations from before. So as you can see, Subway, Einstein Brothers, Moe's, stuff like that. We also have a list view, so if you want to see a list instead of having to deal with the cards, you can also do that as well.
Yeah, we're also showing things within, I think right now the filter's set at 2,200 meters, so we just figured what's about the closest or the farthest you'd be willing to walk as a college student for food. The times are in driving times, just because I think now with the Google Maps, you use things like that to get around so much. We kind of think in terms of driving time, even if we're going to walk there. So we just chose that, but as we tweak it, I think to the filter page, you can obviously add a distance filter, say you want to see where things are a little farther. And do you want to talk about Ionic a little bit, Jake?
Yeah, sure. So we, like Brendan mentioned earlier, we kind of decided to use a framework that allowed us to deploy our application to multiple different platforms without us having to write code for every single platform. And during our development lifecycle, we actually found that to be rather pleasant because it allowed all of us to work together on one set of code instead of having one person for each type of device. And I think in that regard, it saved us a lot of time, and we really got to play with a lot more fun stuff, and it made the experience for us a lot more enjoyable. Actually, Brendan, if you want, you can actually show some of the other platforms up here in the top. So
iPhone.
This is kind of how it looks on iPhone. Yeah, so that's kind of...
We even got Windows Phone.
Yeah, I mean, who has Windows Phone?
For the one of you out there.
But it's kind of nice. It allows us to develop things really quickly and prototype stuff. So when it comes to adding new features, new filters, things like that, it should be really simple for us. So we found that it also helps us to kind of transition into having something that's more marketable because we can cover multiple target audiences. And we were hoping that with our app we could collect information on which restaurants people are going to and when they're going to those restaurants, and use that information and provide it to those restaurants so that they can kind of, for example, see the lunch rush before it's coming. So, yeah, I think overall we had a really great time.
We are ARVRA. I'm Audrey.
I'm Daniela.
I'm Stephanie.
And we're missing Jacob. He unfortunately had to work today, so he can't be here. But and this is Show Me. So can you talk about that really quick? So we'll start by kind of telling a story. So my friend Chantel is a freshman this year, and last semester she came into the makerspace and took a training on 3D printers. Well, when she went to do her first 3D print, she had forgotten one of the steps, and she had to ask me how to do it. This is actually a huge problem within our makerspace and our maker labs here. If you can go to the next. Some of the biggest things is we lack resources for the training and for when you forget. Because initial training is very difficult to coordinate the maker lab schedules along with your schedules and setting up private trainings for them. And then once you're trained, everybody knows, so you learn it, you think you know it, and then you get to it and you're like, I forgot. And then if you're in the lab and you're lucky enough to find somebody who is trained in it, and say, hey, can you help me? And they're not busy doing homework, then they can help you. Then we have Slack, and on Slack, if they're not busy, they'll respond, and it goes down this chain. So that's what we have,
So as Audrey's saying, our situation in the Maker Lab is not at all conducive to using the technology and learning, which is what Maker Labs are all about. So we made a solution. Our app is called Show Me. What is it? It's an augmented reality app that uses augmented reality technology to show you a tutorial of what you're supposed to do through your phone's camera. It's very user-friendly and intuitive, and we try to make it as easy as possible for people to understand what is going on and how to do it. So why is it better? Everyone is able to learn at their own time, at their own pace, and it uses less resources. As Audrey said, we don't need as many tutors going around and helping people. So how do you get this app? Well, if I'm someone in the Maker Lab, I just go here and I scan this QR code. It's that easy. We'll show you. If you want to hold it for you.
Alt-tab. Hold on.
There we go.
So this would be the website it brings you to, and then you would click download the APK file if you have Android. That's the only one we had time to build it for this time. So once you've downloaded this, you open the app, and you can start the live simulation, which is done through augmented reality. And how that works, it's all in relation with this QR code.
So as you can see on this app here, it says, look at the QR code for the printer. As I come closer, it automatically picks up this signal and it opens up the tutorial. I can either change filament, change print head, calibrate printer. So I want to know how to change the filament. So it pops up the tutorial. As you can see, the augmented reality just kicks right in. It says, step 1, turn on the printer. So I can look around and I see there's a hand pointing at the switch. All right, I need to turn on the printer. All right, so I hit next. Now I need to press the settings knob.
So if this was plugged in, this would actually turn on a menu for you.
Then I need to turn the knob to temperature. This printer would need to be plugged in, but there would be a menu there with various settings. I would turn all the way to temperature. Then I need to push the temperature knob, and I need to spin to custom temperature. Then I push to select custom temperature, and I spin to nozzle, push to select nozzle.
Kind of gives a nice animation while you're doing it so you can follow.
Yeah, so as you can see, even if I move around here, the augmented reality tracks fairly well. And as we improve the technology, we'll get better and better. I spin to adjust the temperature, then I push to set the temperature. And I wait until the temperature reaches 230 degrees. And if I want to see what the screen will look like, I just zoom in here and it tells me, okay, this is what the screen is going to look like. As you can see, this is the temperature range.
So once it would reach that, we're actually going to go a little deeper now into you can see that hand simulating. Back here, there is a clamp that secures in the filament. And you need to open that once it's hot, but you must wait till it's hot, which is why we have that wait screen. So once you open that, it just pops, and right now it's already popped up. And then this will actually guide you through each little step of taking the filament out, then unfeeding it, because there's an additional tube up here. You can see you actually have to take the filament out of this tube, which is not hot, so I can't take it out. And then after you've taken it out of that, you would feed the new filament into the tube. And once you fed it in there, so this animation shows putting it in, because you need to put it in the same hole it came out of. And like I said, what we said on here was that it needs to have some firmness. Don't force it, but you'll feel it. So go to the next. And then clamp it back closed and extrude. And then you're done. And once you're done, you go back to the menu and you can do multiple simulations like that. So we're out of time.
All right, so our app is called Go See, and for this specific one, it's Go See Boise, and it's a location-based application that allows you to go on self-guided tours, such as around Boise State or around any parks or even inside a museum.
All right, so we're going to take you through a quick tutorial of how to use this app and kind of demonstrate some of its cool features. So you can see on the map we have a couple markers. These are all generated dynamically based on some data we've pulled down from a MySQL server. So the markers, we have blue markers, which are checkpoints you haven't reached. You have a horse, which is your current location. And then there's some check flags for places you've already visited. So when you first open up the app, it loads up all the markers in about 20-kilometer radius of you. So wherever you open up this app, if there's tours nearby and there's a single, we call them checkpoint, if there's a single checkpoint in range, it'll pull in the entire tour and let you start this tour. So let me click on the tours. So we're going to start the Boise State tour. So when you click on the Boise State tour, it highlights the first checkpoint that whoever's put the tour together says is the first checkpoint you should go to. So we're using the inspection mode for this web application so that we can modify the location data on the fly. Normally what would happen is as you walk around, the location data would constantly pull and it would update and move the map smoothly across as you move. And it would also move the current location icon. So we've moved to the first check mark, and now we can actually click on this marker, and it pulls up a bit of a blurb about the location, and you can click done. And now you have this location checked off on the map, and it also tracks constantly, and it records this back to the database. So if, for example, you start in the middle of a tour, you can check off a location, go to work or go to class, and then come back to your tour. And, so here's a blurb for the excellence belts and refresh. That's your question. You can read it so that we can isn't it already there? Just so that it has persistence. Okay. So if you reload the app, it restarts your current tour progress, or it restarts you from where you were in the middle of your tour. And you can just reselect that same tour and get right back on track. So now we're to the Pioneer Hall, and you can go and click on. We're to the Samson sculpture, which is right outside of the Pioneer Hall. Didn't load our data. So as you walk around, you'll be able to see kind of what's around Boise, and make a path towards checkpoints and kind of browse around and experience Boise and kind of be put on a guided tour at your own pace. So this would basically allow people to put together, it would allow institutions, municipalities to put together a tour and publish it through the application, and then people could open up the application and see these checkpoints and start the tour, and it would basically guide them through say a historic town where there's checkpoints of monuments, and so you see these plaques on the ground, but you there's these plaques on the ground, these monuments, but you don't really understand the meaning behind them and why they are where they are. This is what allows municipality to put together checkpoints in a tour for someone to understand why these monuments are here. So we're going to go complete the Julia Davis Park tour. We're going to teleport up to Julia Davis Park, Zoo Boise, and click on it. we're not just close enough. This app works a little bit like Pokemon Go, where you have to be almost exactly on top of like the Pokestop, for example, in order to activate the marker. There we go. So when you complete a tour, you get a notification that you've completed a tour, and it actually saves that to the database. So it's dynamic, and we can actually, this is per user. So a user could open up, they would get a user ID, and they would be able to complete tours and basically have a record of all these tours they've completed wherever they go. So here you can see we have tour progress, and this is basically just a list of all your in-progress tours. And go ahead and show the rewards page. We have a rewards page where you can see your completed tours. This is Go See Boise.
We are Team ESR, and I want to thank you guys for coming here to watch our presentation here on task. And I'm Travis.
Adonis. Brian. I'm Nick.
Okay, so what I want to do here is talk to you guys a little bit about my role here on campus and how it informed what we developed. So I'm an academic coach in the Office of Academic Enhancement, and what that means is I work with students who find themselves in academic difficulty, and I help them do things to help them be more academically successful. Now, what I want to go ahead and do here is share some stats with you about graduation. So, were you aware that 25%, nearly a quarter of freshmen don't re-enroll for a sophomore year? About 10% of students graduate on time, and lastly, a third of students graduation rate here is about a third. So, what I want to ask you here is, how many of you know someone that didn't re-enroll after their freshman year? I know I do. I know someone that didn't. So, what if they had a tool that could help them be better and more academically successful? As an academic coach, what I've seen from students is that they lack some certain skills that will help them be better able to do well throughout the year. And one of those skills is time management.
All right, so as Travis was talking about, there's kind of some, a little bit of shocking statistics. These aren't really uncommon. Boise State's actually pretty average as far as retention rates and dropout rates. So it's not really an exclusive problem just to Boise State, but we came up with some ideas that we think can help improve the Boise State community with retention and dropout rates. So as Travis was sharing his experiences with us, we were kind of thinking, well, what would the solution look like? How would it fit and work well here on campus? It has to be something that improves the students' time management skills. That's, according to many articles, the #1 problem incoming freshmen have, being unprepared from the high school environment, coming into college, being independent. Time management's a big one. It has to be easy to use for professors and for students as well. It has to integrate into the many platforms that we use at Boise State, My.Boise State, Blackboard, and it has to eliminate that, oh crap, it's due tonight feeling, you know, that every one of us has been there, you know, you forget about an assignment and it's due that day. So with that in mind, we use this opportunity to develop something we're calling On Task. This is a project management, time management application. This is a very simple view of it. Unfortunately, we ran out of time, but there was a lot of features we would have loved to include. It begins with basically two separate sort of views. You kind of have your instructor view. So an instructor, if you've ever received a syllabus, you kind of get that schedule on the back with major due dates on it. What On Task can do is then take these things, and depending on what type of project it is, so it's an essay, report project, or even custom, it can break it up into kind of manageable checkpoints and then set and send reminders to the students as each one of those sort of mini deadlines approaches. So for example, let's do, let's see, so I happen to have, let's do a Marketing 301, and it's a report. Let's call it a marketing plan. And so what this can do is then, a professor can set the dates. It sounds like we're running out of time here, but then they would go on and kind of set these kind of checkpoints and steps, and then the student would receive reminders. So if we submit this, the data actually posts to a database table, and from there the student view can actually pull that. So reload this. All right, 301. So can actually pull that information, see the recommended steps, and we would love to include things like email reminders and Google Calendar API integration, so you kind of have a visual representation of the assignments and the dates that they come in, and it would kind of go on your existing Google Calendars app that Boise State uses. The email is a huge part of this. We would like it to send students, especially freshmen, so when you have a research portion of your assignment coming up, resources on campus they might not be aware of, the Writing Center, library resources, and things of that nature. So with that in mind, that's our presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are Team FeedOS. My name is Tyler, and we have Bader, Mitchell, and then Cole over here. So we brought you A9U, which is an anonymous message board to have aimed at university students. And with it, you can navigate between your different universities. There's a message board for each university. You can navigate to your university and also to other universities. Limited to university students, so they enroll with an .edu email address. And Bader will take you through the app here.
Okay, so as you can see, I am putting my login in, and it should send me an email that confirms that I'm a student. Click on it, and it says you're a verified student. Okay, so now, this is a prototype, so we're having like a few issues loading things, but so is my Boise State. And this is a real feed, so this is some of the posts that have been posted on there. As you can see, oh, and you can post too, so. Post, and I should put it on there. You can go look at other schools, so these are just some of the ones. Oh, and your school won't exist at first. The first person to log in with that tag on their email, it'll create a school for them, so then it kind of helps everyone else get on that feed that has the same tag on the email. So Clemson's on there, and again, we're having a little bit of issues last minute, but, so, let's see if their feed's on there, okay. There we go. So this is like a feed that would be like at another school, you can go look at it, so during like rivalry games or football events, you can kind of, trash talk or say good luck or whatever you want to do. Also, so there's like a history tab. That is, there we go. So this was my post. This isn't completely done. Down the line, we'd like to add comments and up votes and down votes and stuff like that. So we can have like a point system. That way, if there's anything inappropriate or anything like that, if people downvote it, we can get it off there based on user feedback and stuff like that. But yeah, that's the gist of it.
Yeah, so there's a lot of options. Anonymous forums, message boards have been around on the web for years. There's different types of apps you can use. They're aimed at different types of, audiences. There's an aimed at college students, aimed at high school students, aimed at specific organizations. So what we wanted to create is something that's easy to get into. You just download the app. You can enter your email address to create an account. And then that protection of being anonymous is something that's important these days. Using encryption, using anonymity to maintain your privacy on the internet is an important topic these days. And back end was written in PHP. Cole, you have any comments on that?
Yeah, so it's using a shared server, so that means that we only had access to PHP. I was getting some crap from some students for using PHP, which is totally understandable. But yeah, so basically the app posts everything to the PHP, stores it in a SQL database, and then fetches it. And the email address is encrypted so that in the event that the database gets leaked, which databases get leaked all the time, your post won't come back to haunt you. So, yeah. Another thing of note, the confirmation you saw at the start there, you can't actually post or take part in any of the the feeds until you actually confirm your address, your email address. So that's a vital part of the application.
Yeah, another thing is we wanted it strictly for college students, so that way, you know, like I know at Boise State we have high school events sometimes and stuff like that. We don't want them posting on that feed for us or anyone outside of the university. That way it's just kind of like for us for like student events or study groups or anything or just having fun or whatever we want to do for college students. So, yeah. But that should be it for us.
Hello everyone, we're Team 418. I'm Tia.
I'm Truro, and we have another team member, Jasmine. She couldn't make it today.
So when we think of college life, this is what we think of. There's only 24 hours in the day, and we want to have good grades, enough sleep, and a social life. How can we fit all of this in such a short amount of time? Well, what if you didn't want to choose two? What if you wanted to have all three? And what if there was an app that could help you manage your time more effectively in order to do this? And this is why we created our analytics app, Chamomile.
Okay, so our analytics app, Chamomile, it's a student life analytics app that allows the user to answer a few questions daily, and it'll output a bit of data in a nice format with a few graphs that shows them how much sleep they've been getting, how on task they are with their work, and how good they are with their social life, so they can learn to balance that more easily. And they don't have to deal with numbers too much. They can just look at a simple triangle like we'll show you here today and see if it's equal on all three sides, so they can try and balance the things they need to balance more effectively. We also have indices for sleep, social life, and academics that show them on a number basis how well they're doing in each of those categories, and gives them a couple of suggestions, sometimes sarcastically, as to how they can improve those specific aspects. So at this time, we'd like to have a few volunteers answer our questions so we can show them how they've been doing with their. All right, who's back? So the first question: how many hours of sleep did you get last night? One. Okay, how many hours did you spend in class? Yeah, well, not last night, but we'll go with yesterday since we haven't had a lot of time today. Okay. How many hours did you spend working?
0.
And how many hours did you spend studying?
0.
How many hours did you spend on entertainment during the day?
Like less than 1.
We'll go with none. Okay, how much did you spend on entertainment in the evening? None.
What did you do?
And how many hours did you spend socializing with others?
The whole night.
Okay. More than 6. All right, so then we just hit the analyze button, and then we look at our graphs. So, as we can see, you're not a very balanced person. I mean, that's okay. But we have a pretty simple triangle here. The idea is we want it to be equilateral on all three sides. As you can see, we have enough sleep, social life, and good grades at the very top. So if we have it equal on all three sides, it means we have a pretty good balance going on. If we scroll down, we can see each of our indices for the specific categories. And if we click on those, we can see little drop downs and charts of exactly how much of your time is being taken up by each activity. And we have a few. So our sleep index is 0. We have another text-based thing. So obviously there's going to be nothing on that graph since there was no data for that. And then leisure index is 62. And that's pretty good, but maybe start sleeping more or something. So that's our app in a nutshell. That's what we were able to do in the last few days.
We're Team Super Senior. Glad to see you guys are still awake. See some eyes looking at us. So this team consists of Melissa, Ollie, and myself, Kevin. we'd like to introduce you. We're all computer scientists from the computer science department. We're all seniors. And we'd like to introduce you to our app, StudyFox. StudyFox is an idea based on collaborative studying. We all want to get good grades. We want to do well. Sometimes there's not so much of an outlet. You know, maybe you work late. Maybe you don't have time. Maybe you don't know the right people. It's a way to maybe get social and find a study buddy that will work in the time frame that you're looking for or working on the assignment that you're working for. So I'm going to hand it off to Melissa. She's going to go through a little bit of demonstration, and good luck.
So we're kind of new to making websites, but this was a really fun experience. We were able to create these awesome icons during the Appathon, and we basically, the way this app works is if you click on participate, if you want to find someone to study with you in a particular class, you can write your name. So write Buster Bronco. Then we're going to say we only have 2 right now, so I guess he's going to be in CS 221. And then he'll type in his email.
So this is making yourself available to be searched for.
Yep. And he's probably going to be available on Wednesday, because there are no football games that day. And then he'll probably say, like, I'm working on homework 1, and he'll submit this. And then he'll go, you can go to the search menu and see other people who are looking for study partners for different homeworks. And it's a really simple, easy way to find someone to study with. We also have like some other fact pages about it, and we also have a link to the tutoring calendar for the CS department, which for some reason is down right now, unfortunately. And then we have our little about page. Do you have anything else?
We did this in Bootstrap. So one of the nice features, this is the first time we use myself used Bootstrap. I think Melissa's first time and Ollie's first time. Is it was pretty nice because we just used HTML, CSS, some PHP. So one of the nice features about Bootstrap is it sizes kind of well within a window. So eventually this could be mobile, a way that people could connect. You don't have to log in. The idea would that the post would be deleted after a week or 2, whatever we decided. We decided on 2 weeks, and that would give you ample time to maybe find somebody to look for. So you can click through all of these. Kind of interactive, which is kind of cool. A lot of the artwork all the artwork was drawn by Melissa here. Our idea changed, so we had to kind of do some stuff on the fly. And so, yeah, like Melissa was saying, it was a very great experience. We have to do this kind of for our web development class, so it was nice to kind of like get into it and kind of get a little dirty with the database and kind of get post and get and all that other different stuff. And one of the most important things was the artwork. We thought, keep it simple, to the point. We liked that it didn't have a login, because for one, it didn't complicate things, and 2, that people could just get it and post to it and then find someone right away. There's probably a lot of different features we could have done, a lot of other decisions we could make, but this was our minimal viable product or minimal thing we would try to push out. And then this would be more for the students, but if anyone wanted to pay us for features or different things, we would be willing to talk to people about that.
Taylor, Aaron, Dean, AJ, and our app, if it comes back on screen, is Curio. What we have created is an augmented reality application that offers an interactive environment for the public sharing, interaction, distribution of digital assets. This is a new and innovative way to deal with augmented reality because we are not tethered to things like visual cues. We don't need to use icons. We don't need to use things like map locations. We can actually display things right where you are to other people who use the application. We're going to pass around phones and show this to the judges.
So to sort of explain this demo, the funny thing is the nature of our app essentially makes it so that doing demos for a large crowd of audience is somewhat difficult because it is basically personally from your phone. So if anybody wants to kind of come around and hustle, that'd be fine. But I'll show just an image of the judges first. So our app just looks like this for now. All it is a simple way to actually use augmented reality to actually place objects in three-dimensional space. So the actual technical side behind this is we have linked up an AWS DynamoDB database to this that takes the location data from your phone, uploads that to the actual database, and then from that takes that data and puts it into augmented reality. So three very typical things actually sort of fit into this. So what we're going to do is, using this button, you can go to a gallery of different objects we can use. So I'm going to pick on this, and then what I can do is if I just hit place,
Remember, we are using...
All right, so you can actually see it down here. So it's actually a physical model that's actually on the table there. So the cool thing about this is if I grab somebody else's phone, I already word it. There. Boom! Killing right now. So if I take somebody else's phone, what I can do is I can actually, you can see that same model right there. So that way, no matter what, if I upload a model and I put it over there, somebody else, it's essentially kind of like geocaching. Essentially, you can actually, I can place a model somewhere and then my friend can go to that exact same location and see what it placed. So this could extend to like creators for like 3D modelers and all different sorts of applications. Like even businesses could take it up to actually like having marketing campaigns or for advertising as well.
So we've done this for a number of different reasons. One of the big ones is that technology for a lot of users is something where they merely have buttons to click on and don't know how it's working. Augmented reality being an actual overlay to our physical reality should be something that's interactive and users have an ability to interact with, create, show off new things. On top of that, the scalability of this application is quite large, from individual users to things like education, businesses, and beyond. You can imagine a whole range of different applications where people could do things, especially the city. If you think of the city maybe bolstering a festival with augmented reality demonstrations, they could do something like actually overlay modeled or properly edited photographs of something like the old Basque shepherds in the Basque district, where they actually would have come home to in front of the Basque Museum, which at the time was their boarding house. So during the Basque Festival, people could walk around, the city could have this implemented, and they could actually see historical scenes recreated in the city, viewable by everybody. On top of that, if they want to do something interactive, if we think of festivals like Tree Fort, we could have interactive art displays, educational displays. I mean, the range of possibilities are quite large. And since we're not tethered to things like visual cues, gestures, and other options like that, we've created something that offers a whole new possibility for augmented reality.
So just to explain what I just did also over there is that over on that model, I actually made a sort of a model that actually makes particle effects go around all over the place. So now showing it on this actual phone, in the same way it has those exact same particle effects sort of flying around. So that way it's a shared space. That way both of us can actually have models that we can also share.
And of course, coming back to our app name and presentation, Curio, we would like people to display their wonderful curiosities for the world to see in an interactive, participatory, augmented reality. Something we think is very important coming up in the future of this technology.
Hi guys, we're Team Tarsiers. My name is Medea.
I'm Utsav. I'm Anthony. I'm Kieran.
So with a show of hands, I would like to ask how many people have used the undergraduate computer science flowchart?
The what?
Undergraduate computer science flowchart. And how was your experience with it? I know that I personally didn't have a good experience. I mean, when I first looked at this, I was like, what is this? Like, what are all those lines? What are the dotted lines supposed to mean? What's the hard lines, like solid lines? And where does it start? Where does it end? Like, I had a hard time figuring my way around it. So, since that's like a big struggle for all of us undergrad students that we just come in as freshmen, and we know that the Boise State community is growing, and it's growing at a really fast rate, we wanted to make sure students don't get lost in trying to figure which classes to take, when to take them, what are the core and prerequisites are. So we took this flowchart and made it more interactive and user-friendly.
By more user-friendly, we mean you can interact with the web app and you can decide what classes you have already taken and what's left. So I'll just walk through it. If you click on this, it opens up the classes that you can take next, and it tells you, so from Math 170 you can go either Math 175, 121. It opens up the options, and once you click on that, it gives you an option to select your electives right away. It tells you what electives are available for your course, and as you are clicking down, it opens up the classes, but you can't click on something that you have not, like if you have not completed the prerequisite, you can't click on that because you have taken 221, but you have not taken 189 yet. So once I click on 189, it'll open up my 321 option, and it just flows through. It's super easy to read. You can just look at it. It's interactive, and it's better than the old one. So, and also you can hover on it, and then it tells you what class description and when is it available, fall, summer, spring, and what is the class credit, prerequisite, core requisite. Tells you everything you need to know to build your course plan. There you go. And I'll hand it over to Kiran.
So right now, you just look at this graph, and then you have another PDF page in the chart, and it's just static. So using this system, you can look at the course summary. So I will reset this graph. Now this is the initial default version. So when I click on course summary, this will show me the list of classes that I need to take. Right now, all of these are highlighted, all of these classes. So if I go back, and let's say I've taken 170, see 121, this 2, Math 189. So now if I look at course summary, now these classes are not highlighted, the classes that I've already taken. So I'm left with all of the classes that I still need to take, and that will let me graduate. So yeah, basically this.
So we contacted Tim Anderson, who's the head of the computer science department, and he was interested in using our flowchart on the computer science website to replace the old flowchart, which is that one. We also think that this could be further customized for other departments to make their own flowcharts. When we were doing research for this, we were looking at class flowcharts from other universities, and all of them were static and boring. None of them were interactive. So this is the first interactive flowchart that we've seen, and we think it could be marketable too, because if we spend a few weeks to make this customizable, then we could easily, I think, sell that to universities who would want to make custom flowcharts for their departments and their students.
And today we'd like to share our app, Tournament Walrus. Tournament Walrus is an app that's designed to organize tournaments as well as for scoring events and games. On the screen here we have our website, which can redirect you to where we hope to put it on the App Store eventually, as well as just a few key bullet points of the app and what it does. I'm going to pass it to Cameron now to talk a little bit more about the app.
So the reason why we chose this app is currently on the market there is a lack of apps that will allow us to have tournaments and board games. Now, when you go with your friends or you go and have these board games, a lot of them give you paper, pencils, and paper's finite and pencils you don't always have on you. And so looking at the current market for apps in this kind of field, the majority of apps are for chess, and that's the primary field, and there's not really apps that dive into other areas. So our goal was to make a robust app that allows us to have versatility in that field and have multiple solutions. So this is what our app looks like on the surface. We were able to make an app that allowed us to have versatility in that. Allowed us to choose different games, different round types, and allowed us to customize a lot of things about it.
So now I'd like to just kind of show off the app a little bit here. Just going to screen sharing with our tablet so you can just see what is going on. Close this because otherwise we get some errors. Okay, so go into apps here. There's our app, Tournament Walrus. And if I click on that, we can boot up. So the first thing that pops up is an ID. This is for database, to pull down database information. If you store tournaments or players or information about games, this will get it for you. So just for a test, we're just going to enter 1.1 to get into our database. Click OK. And the first thing you're going to see is going to be a list of tournaments. We don't have any tournaments populated here, so you don't see any. And then also you're going to see our Walrus cartoons everywhere. You can hide those if you don't like to see them. Up here at the top, you got a menu where you can you can cycle through tournaments, players, games. Players is going to be your database of games. So we've populated a few players already in our database. You can also check our games, and we've got a couple games here set up. But this is a tournament app, so let's go build a tournament. So when you get back to the tournaments, you can add a tournament by simply clicking the button, and it gives you a bunch of parameters for setting up a tournament. So as I said, this can also be used for keeping score of events or games. So like you could use this app to even judge this competition we're doing right now. So I'm going to just kind of build something to judge this judge the Appathon here. So if I enter a name for Appathon, and then I'm going to choose a game type. I've already got a game type made, which is linked with the type of tournament it's running. It's running just a scorekeeper tournament. You can set it between single elimination, double elimination, round robin, depending on what type of tournament you want to host. And then you just want to add players to the tournament by adding them, by clicking on them here. I'm going to add a few tournament players here. Once you're ready to start, just click the start button. And then it asks you for score types. Score types would be ways you're going to score this. So for the Appathon, we might get scored on a presentation, we might get scored on quality or on our demo. So you can add all sorts of score types just by clicking on the score type button. So let's say we're going to get judged on presentation, and maybe the maximum score is 25 points, the minimum score is 0. That adds that score type to the type. Let's add another one, maybe on quality. Again, let's keep it at 25 and 0. So after you've added all the score types you want to add, you can go ahead and click continue to actually start the tournament. And you get a list of players. Now, these players, you want to be able to add information to them. So in order to do that, just click on a player, and you can just click on one side of the score node or the other to update the information. And you can just cycle between players. We're going to make our team win. And when you're done, you can just click finish. And what this will do is output all the data that you just entered, so you can then determine a winner. Once you're done with that, you can click menu and get you back to the main menu. So I'm going to swap back over to camera real quick. Hopefully we can finish this up before we run out of time. Yeah,
so the future of this app, we were going to first implement the Google Play Store, but with the minimum requirement of $25, we were going to build the foundation first and have her be confident in where our app is at, so then submit it to the Google Play Store. After that, future web app, we did tell you that it is linked with a database online using PHP and SQL. We'll add more support for that. And lastly, add statistical tracking, because with a lot of tournaments nowadays, people want to see how well they did it with scoring-wise for that tournament and most other tournaments in other parts of either the city or the national.
Hello everyone. So first of all, the screen resolution on this projector is not doing us justice, but try to keep with us. The judges have the actual prototype with them. But hello, we're Trappist 4. If you're interested about our name, talk to us after. So we're excited to show you our app we designed for the Boise Farmers Market. My name is Miguel.
I'm Brooke. I'm Lauren.
I'm Andrew.
And Lauren?
Yeah, so as customers of the Boise Farmers Market, we noticed that the majority of people who visited the market weren't utilizing it as a resource for groceries. To most, the market is seen as a fun way to spend a Saturday morning looking at art and crafted goods and eating street food. But smaller vendors who sell produce are often passed by. We wanted to create a tool to tell the vendors compelling stories, strengthen the infrastructure of the local food network, encourage people to buy groceries at the farmers market, and generally bring business to the important and sometimes overlooked small farmers. Farms play an integral role in our society, so their success is our community success.
So as graphic designers, we tackled this competition as more through the perspective of a front-end app designer. So we focused a lot on UI design and experience, the overall experience of it. So the first thing we did was figure out who this app was going to benefit and who it was for. Since the BFM, Boise Farmers Market, has a wide demographic, our personas cover a wide range from elderly to the vendors themselves. And then if you scroll down, Brooke, Boise State student and a mom, they each have their own problems that we tried to address with this app.
And the primary solution to this problem allows customers to browse an inventory of all the fresh produce that's going to be available at the next farmer's market. They're able to pre-order goods for pickup at the market. All of this while learning more information about each vendor's specific story.
All right, so observing the farmer's market, we realized that it attracts a wide variety of people. Not all of them are daily users of their cell phones. They don't necessarily recognize the types of patterns that some of us recognize. And so we did focus a lot on the user interface and making it kind of recognizable where they can look at it. It's very icon-based, so maybe people who can't read English can still use it pretty easily. When you see the things moving around, those help people understand what's happening without bouncing around throughout the app. It kind of moves around them instead. It adds to the screen they're on instead of taking them to a bunch of different screens. Our color choices were influenced by it's
the 508 compliance.
Yeah, 508 compliance. It's a federal kind of system for making sure that legibility and contrast are usable by almost everybody.
Yeah, which plays an important part for people with disabilities or the elderly.
Okay, so we're just going to go through a brief overview of the key features of the app. This is our landing page, or I'll go through
Sign up.
It's really the sign up. Here's our little sign up animation. It takes you through your username and password, and if you're a vendor or you're a customer, which profile you would go to. For now, we're going to take a look at the user landing page. On the left, it's got all of the pertinent information that you need for the next event. So it's got special events, predicted weather, and a banner that tells the date of the next Saturday. So that's always visible throughout the app. To the right, it shows curated information that we've taken from the farmers market newsletter that shows things like vendor spotlights, featured recipes, and featured sales, and also the basic information about the date and time, location of the event. So if we were gonna go through and try to search for vegetables to buy, we'd click on the inventory button and veggies. Get some tomatoes. So we have like a lot of features. It goes through and it organizes it by vendor. So once you're interested in a product, it takes you to the vendor and tells you more about them. And gives you a little bit of their bio, so you're not losing that like personal aspect of walking up to a stand and greeting like the vendor. It's all still kind of there.
And because I assumed that alarm meant that we were out of time. So before you cut us off, since we came in with the mindset that this was an actual client for us, all of our work, I should say, we exported to a program called Zeppelin, which developers then use to build the app using code. So that's all ready to go. So if you guys know anybody from the Boise Farmers Market that's interested, just give us a call. Thank you guys.